Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Country Hipster podcast. As you can tell, I am not Paul the Country Hipster. I get to come up with my own this week. I guess I am the country more attractive host on the show. Let's go with that one. As you can see, I don't have Paul. This is my bonus episode of my top 3 of Paul's albums, which, for the record, I want to state, I'm pretty sure was my idea. Now, before we go any further, I'm sure the song you just heard was the Unholy Four's mega smash hit, Dirty Knife. You can find them on Spotify and Bandcamp and Apple Music and YouTube and probably, find them at your local bar, provided you are in the Virginia area. So yeah, I'm here to talk about my top 3 albums of Paul's and my bottom one of Paul's. There were immediately 2 albums that came to mind when I thought of this, and I thought, you know what? Scratch that. I'm not going to use those 2 albums. Those 2 albums in question were Wide Awake It's Morning by Bright Eyes and If I Should Fall from Grace with God with the Pogues, because those were 2 albums that I already knew going into season 1. If I owned, I do own I'm Wide Awake It's Morning, but I wanted Digital Ash over Wide Awake It's Morning. But if I owned If I Should Fall from Grace with God, I would definitely have If I Should Fall from Grace with God on my 25. So I'm going to exclude those 2 albums because I already knew about those albums before that we even had the idea of recording. So my top 3 albums of Paul's are albums that I was completely introduced to through the recording of this podcast, which I feel like is kind of better, more in the spirit, because I always say to people at the end, listen and form your own opinions. It's the idea is to get music out there, not just vinyl, but the idea of vinyl, but just to get music in general, new music you haven't heard. And I think my top 3 list is more congruent with that idea of finding something new and not sticking with something that I know. So right off the bat, I'll start it off. I don't know if these are technically numbered. Aside from my number 1, I will say my number 1 is my number 1 favorite album of Paul's this season. But I guess the other 2 are just kind of, they could be wherever. And I do have an honorable mention, so I'll go there as well. Number, I guess, whatever, would be Sam I Am Clumsy. I remember talking to Paul when we recorded about it, saying how he had mentioned how bands that I'm listening to were definitely influenced by this sound that Sam I Am had, and I could definitely see it, and I think that's why it stuck with me, was because I definitely like seeing where the thing I'm like comes from, and I think Sam I Am definitely I can hear a lot of Sam I Am and stuff that I've listened to, that I started listening to in high school and stuff like that. Um, yeah, it's just a really good album. I highly recommend listening to it. Sadly, I mean, I haven't delved into more Sam I Am, aside from this album, but I mean, I have a busy schedule. I have to listen to a different album every week for the podcast. Spoiler alert, we are in the process of recording season 2. Sorry, Paul, if you didn't want me to say that. Um, but yeah, so I a lot of times I just don't get a chance to listen to it. Plus, there's other shit that I listen to. I listen to podcasts. I listen to podcasts about a lot of TV shows that I watch. While currently listening to a podcast about The Boys on Amazon. Currently listening to a podcast on House of the Dragon. Currently listening to Two Bears One Cave. Listening to Your Mom's House. Listening to a whole bunch of stuff. Sometimes I don't have the ability to listen to every single Sam I Am album. I'm sorry, guys, but I do enjoy Clumsy very, very much. So definitely go check out Clumsy. Another album. It was an album that I was excited for when it was coming up. Sorry, I'm recording on my phone and I got a text message. I apologize if you heard that ding ding. Um, I it's only fitting that I get a text message during the podcast. I've noticed a lot that I text a lot during the podcast, and I apologize. It's not professional. I should be there with you guys, but I also fucking have a life. I just listed all the podcasts I listen to. You guys know I have a fucking life. Um, the second album on my list is a album that I was anticipating because I had known of the artist, but only had really heard a couple songs by him. Really liked the sound and the style, and this album I really really enjoyed, and that's Tim Berry Manchester. I told Paul the next time Tim Berry comes to town, he and I are going because I'm all about this album. I'm all about the stuff that I knew of Tim Berry beforehand. Again, it fits into the clause because I just knew of him. I didn't know of the album, so go fuck yourselves. It's my rules, goddammit. I'm the only one on the podcast today. I can make up my own fucking rules. So yeah, Tim Berry Manchester was very, very good. Enjoyed the hell out of it. Like it's raw, it's real. It sounds like someone you would walk into your local dive bar and you would hear Tim Berry playing, in the corner for free drinks. I enjoyed it very, very much. And it's another one, sadly, I haven't really delved into. That's a lie. I did delve into more of Tim Berry. I can't remember what the album's called now off the top of my head, but Paul talked about he has like a live album. I did listen to that as well. I listened to that, I think, actually on the way home from recording the Tim Berry episode because I don't like to a little behind the scenes music for me. I don't like to listen to other things from the artist leading up to the recording because I don't want to muddy the waters of what I'm supposed to be covering. I think I talked about it on the Gaslight Anthem episode. I had listened to the Gaslight Anthem 59 Sound. I've listened to that album 1,000 times. And I was, listening to it on the way up to Paul's to record. And on my way up to the Oswald Record Garage, OswaldRecordGarage.com, I think we're still using the birthday promo code because it still is June. Although I think this might come in just at the end of June, so I think we'll be good. I was on my way up to Paul's to record the Gaslight Anthem episode, listened to the entirety of the 59 Sound, and I was like, you know what? I really want to hear Biloxi Parish, and I really want to hear Too Much Blood. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to muddy the waters. I'm just going to restart the 59 Sound. And that's how I was with Tim Berry. I didn't want to listen to more of Tim Berry to muddy my mentality of Manchester because I wanted to stay fresh. I wanted to be talking about the album that I was there to talk about. And I really liked the album a lot, and I've definitely checked out more stuff. I fit Tim Berry into my schedule. I apologize to Sam I Am. And of course, that brings us to my number one, which, before I go into my last one, was anybody else besides me shocked as fuck that Boxcar Racer was on Paul's top three? Fucking Boxcar Racer. It's fucking wild. There's some other shit I was really anticipating hearing on there, but Boxcar, if you gave me 50 guesses, I probably would have got it because there's not that many episodes. But I would not expect Boxcar Racer to be on there. I was very surprised. It was very cool to hear. That being said, I digress. My number one, my favorite album that Paul made me listen to this year, and I think you might be able to guess because I feel like I spoke very, very highly of it on the episode when we recorded. I will say I listened to all those podcasts, so I haven't had time to listen to Sam I Am. I listened to all those podcasts, and I've been listening to this album a lot on downtime. So that's why I haven't been able to listen to more Sam I Am. But that album is River City Extension, The Unmistakable Man. I fucking love this album. Originally, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. I was really bummed that we could only listen to it on YouTube, which was a pain in the ass because I do the majority of my listening in the car. But I fucking fell in love with this album. I've listened to this album. I've definitely listened to this album way more than any other album that we've covered. I've listened to it a bunch of times after the fact of recording. I was actually playing it the other day. I was at work and I was unloading a truck and I threw River City Extension on the Bluetooth speaker that I had in receiving, and it's just a great album. There's so much going on in this album. You have this folky element, this kind of punk element, this indie element. It's got a sea shanty right in the fucking middle of it for no reason. It's really fucking good. If you guys have not listened to River City Extension, The Unmistakable Man, go to YouTube, look it up. It's fucking worth the listen. I've said to Paul, after listening to this album, I'm pretty sure I said it on the podcast. After listening to this album, I wish I had a fucking copy of this album on vinyl. And according to Paul, it's incredibly fucking difficult to find. I think when he was looking up the Discogs value, he couldn't find any listed copies of this album on vinyl. CDs, yes. I don't own a CD player. I own a record player. So I'm on a record podcast, not a CD podcast. So that CD can go fuck off somewhere. So yeah, Sam I Am Clumsy, Tim Barry Manchester, River City Extension, Unmistakable Man. Great fucking albums. Absolutely great fucking albums. If you haven't listened to them yet, and hopefully you have, because that means hopefully you didn't just listen to the episode without knowing what the fuck album we're talking about. But then again, do what you want. I can understand doing that. I've listened to podcasts about movies I've never seen before just because I think the people who are hosting are funny as fuck. I don't know. Me and Paul might be funny as fuck. Tom's funny as fuck. I don't know about me and Paul. Definitely Tom. Which brings us to, I keep digressing. I'm sorry. It brings us to my last choice, my bottom, and I thought a lot about this, and it was a difficult decision. I thought there's I at the end of the day, I don't know if there's any albums I thought of like which albums of Paul's do I hate. I don't think I hate any of them. I certainly dislike certain parts of them. I don't care for the super long intros on The Cure's Disintegration. Um, I didn't care for uh, I didn't care for the weird goth kid sex scene soundtrack that was Depeche Mode Violator. I didn't care for the Hooters; just wasn't my style. And it's not that I don't really care for this. It's just like I know for a fact this is the album I won't listen to again of Paul's 25, and that's Barry Manilow's greatest hits. Barry Manilow, it's not that he's bad. I know a lot of the songs on this album. Um, it's just that I'm not like after a long day of work, like or I'm driving to work, driving home, whatever. I'm not gonna throw Barry Manilow's greatest hits on. It's just not gonna happen, Paul. I'm sorry. Stop trying to make Barry Manilow happen. Um, it's a fine album, if you're old like Paul, but I'm not. I'm young. I'm hip. I'm you know spry. I'm a spring chicken still. It's Paul's like a fall turkey. So it's Barry Manilow Greatest Hits is the album I know for a fact I'm not going to listen to ever again. Um, but I do, before I go, want to give an honorable mention. I forgot that I had an honorable mention. Um, Queen is Dead by the Smiths. It was an album I saw it on Paul's list and was very excited to listen to it. Like same thing as Sam I Am. Like stuff that I listen to is definitely influenced by the Smiths. So it's nice to see where the things I'm listening to come from. So I would definitely say if I'm allowed, but again, I'm the only one on the episode today, so fuck you. I make my own rules. I'm gonna have an honorable mention, and that honorable mention will be "The Queen Is Dead" by the Smiths. But yeah, I don't think I really have much else to say. I know Paul's episode was only like 20 minutes. I'm at like 18, but it was also recording a little bit for a while I was trying to figure out how the fuck to set up my camera. Um, so I think I thank you guys wholeheartedly for uh, listening to season one. I think Paul has said it before. Even if you guys didn't listen, we'd still do it because we love doing it so much. It's great to once a week, even if I'm not physically in the Ottsville Record Garage. It's great to Skype or Zoom or whatever the fuck we're using um, to to video call in with my brother and bullshit for a while, have a couple beers and bullshit, and talk about a common interest. Um, so we thank you guys for listening wholeheartedly. We really hope you come back for season two. Like I said, season two is already being recorded. It's very, very exciting. Um, like I said, this is one of my favorite things to do all week is record the Country Hipster podcast. Um, so I hope that one of your guys' favorite things to do all week is listen to it. But yeah, I mean, thank you guys for not just I'm getting tongue tied because I'm so emotional. I really wanted to say thank you, not just to the listeners, but thank you. We've had some guests on season one. We've had some tears. We've had some laughs. Thank you guys to all the guests who made the journey out to the Oswald Record Garage, out to the fucking sticks, to bullshit with me and Paul and have a couple beers. Thank you to thank you to everybody. Thanks you to Paul for actually asking me if I want to do this podcast. I'm sure I was probably his second choice. Let's be honest, I was probably his second choice. But thank you, Paul, for suggesting this idea to me many moons ago. Because it's been a fun ride ever since, and I can't wait to record more of season 2 and keep it going. And it's I want to see where this goes, and hopefully we'll become as famous as the Unholy Four with their hit song "Dirty Knife." But yeah, love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all. Keep listening. We'll keep recording. And I guess, do I do Paul's sign off? I mean, here, let me get into character. Douchebag, douchebag, douchebag. Move on! See you guys.